Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
So we are live, another episode of the Screening Room. We're here with a nice group, the Nerding Out with Jenn and Kori podcast. And we're all here, Charlie, to watch Jordan Peele's next stab at the horror genre. All the buzz out of the South by Southwest Festival is Get Out was like he had something to say and he said it and it was kind of scary, but this is his serious bid into the horror genre as a horror director. Lupita Nyong'o in there. I don't know the rest of the people, but guess what? We talked to them. We talked to them all, and they're going to be on throughout this podcast. But Jordan Peele, he's about to bring back the Twilight Zone in a week. Super exciting. CBS All Access, or you can just pirate it.
No, you can't. You shouldn't.
Anyway, Jordan Peele's got to be super excited, and this is a snippet that we have with him. Let's go to the clip. I was trying to save my voice for tonight. I know we were I promised you a horrific podcast with this interview and the cast interviews and stuff in it, but now here it is as part of the Screening Room episode, because I knew if I tried too many podcasts, I was going to blow my voice out. But here is Jordan Peele, and we'll be back in a minute.
What can you tell us about the crazy ride that people go on when they sit down for this movie?
The crazy ride, it's meant to be terrifying. I can tell you, look, I would tell you less than the trailer tells you, okay? So I would say a woman as a child has a trauma, and she grows up, and that trauma comes back to haunt, and that trauma has brought its family.
Ooh, that's good. What was the inspiration for you when you sat down to write it?
Many inspirations. When I was a kid, I saw this episode of Twilight Zone called Mirror Image, which was written by Rod Serling about a doppelganger at a train station, and it scared me. I used to think about a doppelganger across the subway platform as a kid. So I always had that. I always start with something that every time I think about it, it scares me, because that's my engine. That's my horror engine. From there, I thought about what is that about, and really I studied doppelgangers. I went and this idea of the shadow self, which comes up in many cultures, many mythologies, and it tends to be this sense that there is a darker self that we suppress. And we suppress it because we are afraid of what it means, and it holds our guilts and our evil, really. So anyway, what was the question?
You just answered it.
Okay.
You used something that I am terrified of.
Okay.
It screwed me up with the Itsy Bitsy Spider being whistled, and you use it multiple times in this movie, which messed with my head. But there are so many homages, and Winston even told me he based his character on Uncle Phil. Can you talk a little bit about the Easter eggs that you sprinkled throughout this movie?
Well, the Uncle Phil, that one's news to me. I had no idea that he was going for some Fresh Prince in this movie. But no, look, one of my favorite things, as you sort of noted, is when horror movies take songs that aren't scary and put them in a scene, and after the movie you're like, okay, I will never look at Beach Boys' Good Vibrations the same way again. Like, that to me is just cool. It's just kind of like hijacking the connotations of a song. So I do that several times in this movie. And then, I do the Easter egg game was so fun in Get Out, and so I went pretty crazy with it in this one. But because I'll just scroll through the internet and to look at fan theories.
So Lupita compared doing this movie to mental gymnastics, trying to figure out how to play against yourself, and said that you were invaluable. How do you direct a performance of the same person in two characters?
It's really hard. It's really hard, real challenge. I mean, and even more than one is when you have four characters, four actors playing against four characters by the same actors, and we wanted to shoot it like you would shoot 8 actors. So that means not sort of oversell this idea that you have the same. So an audience's filmic language is just buys it. Emotionally was where it was really difficult. And Lupita, the way she took on both roles was to completely submerge herself. So, sometimes I had to be like, guess what? You have to start this day as this character and move to this day at the end, this character at the end of the day. And it was, a special challenge, but you're there with them. I'm patient with actors, even if the clock is ticking and money is burning. There's nothing more important than the actor feeling empowered to put their skill to maximize their.
Okay, Kane. So there was our interview with Jordan Peele. Charlie watching videos from Andrew's birthday last night. We'll get to that on the show momentarily here in a little bit. But you know who looks scary in this movie, Kane?
All the other ones.
The children.
The children? Yeah, the ones going burn together?
Yeah, why does the kid have a burn mask?
I don't know.
That is good. I love that.
How does he go from Chewbacca mom to the stage 5 burn victim?
I mean,
Did you do that on purpose?
Kane.
did I do that? I don't know.
Is that you
Kane.
spread eagle on the ground?
Yes.
Hot.
At the end of the credits.
I mean, that's the story of Andrew's life. If he was going to do an autobiography, it'd be titled "Spread Eagle on the Ground,"
I
the
don't think
Andrew
I've
Kane
ever said
story.
those words together. Congratulations.
That's your nickname, Spread Eagle. Yeah. That's your nickname. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Me and take that one and run with it.
I mean,
True spirit.
I'll go with it. Be my spirit. my ambition.
But anyway, like I was saying, Charlie,
Yeah.
the kids look terrifying in this film. And in our pregame stage here, we're now going to go to our sit-down interview with the actors who are playing the children. Their names escape me right now, but they're all here.
But they were good.
And we're going to that interview right now.
Sounds
Do you
good.
have high expectations for them?
I have high expectations for the whole movie since I've seen so many positive reviews already.
I know. I don't want to be disappointed.
What can you tell audiences about what they can expect when they sit down for this film?
No one is perfect.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think that I would definitely say that you are going to have many conversations with people, and you're probably going to want to see it a couple more times to really understand it.
Can you tell us a little bit about who you play?
I play Jason. He and I also play the Winston Lupita's son. It's an honor working with them, but Jason is he's to himself, and he lives in his own reality.
Yeah. Zora is a 13-year-old girl, and her relationship with her parents is starting to go from loving to embarrassing. She's mostly on her phone all the time, and she is the older sister to Jason, and I think that she really relates to a lot of teens.
You guys have to play 2 characters at the same time. What is that like? How do you do that?
Yeah, it was kind of challenging because we've never done anything like this before. But I love watching horror movies, so I think that I kind of got, some of my inspiration from those movies. And definitely working with Jordan Peele. He helped us along the way with anything that we needed, anything that we really needed to understand. He would, talk to us before or after we shot a scene.
Jordan would talk to us like she said. He talked to us, he liked to add in little things. Like, if he thought something was really cool, he'd ask us. And if we thought it was cool too, he'd, add something.
Right, yeah.
Like, when we didn't know what was happening, if we hadn't got the time to write the script yet, he'd actually do all of the roles. He'd actually do all the characters in one scene.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he gave us a lot of freedom.
Shadi, you said that you like horror movies, and there are so many horror references in this movie. What were some of your inspiration points?
I definitely love The Shining and The Babadook, and I think The Exorcist. Just even the makeup kind of reminded me of The Exorcist a little bit for Umbre. But I definitely love this character so much because she's so amazing, and she's like really, fierce.
Can you talk a little bit about Winston and Lupita as your parents?
Winston is a very nice person. He's a jokester. He like does funny things. And we even do things. He do this he taps someone on the shoulder and we'd be like, Winston, how could you hurt her?
Yeah. They joke all the time. We're like a real family now. We're just like this, fun, loving, healthy, all-American family.
What was your reaction the first time you read the script?
I was kind of shocked to see, how well written it was, and I definitely knew that it was going to be amazingly directed. So I was mostly, on my edge, on the edge of my seat the whole time because, I would read it all the time, on the train. But I think that I was definitely most excited to work with Jordan and to really just see his vision.
What about you, Evan?
What she said, I agree with her.
So attention. So Andrew had a birthday yesterday, and he had celebrated his birthday with a very successful art show that was very cool. And he is one of the key factors. If it wasn't for Andrew and Charlie, Horrific Network wouldn't be getting to do fun things like meeting you guys, Jenn and Kori podcast.
Thank you.
And so we wish you, buddy, the happiest of birthdays, many more. And 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andrew. Happy birthday to you. Go ahead, make a wish. Make a wish. I wish all the Avengers came back.
Just one. That's all I want.
All right.
Oh, God. Not trick ones, right? Okay.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm glad you were born. It seems like a generic
Kane, we've wished you a happy birthday, and now the last interviews that we have as part of this special episode for us is Duke Wilson and Lupita Nyong'o, who played the parents in this film. Hearing from both of them to complete the fivesome from us. We heard from Jordan Peele already, and we heard from the children. And now Duke Wilson and Lupita Nyong'o, Charlie, is who we're about to hear from on this very special Us podcast.
I love her.
And in breaking news, I have been challenged for the Disney Song Championship of the World by Kori. I'm not going to give out your last name on my podcast.
No.
From the Nerding Out with Jenn and Kori podcast, and I can upfront, wholehearted, and very confidently accept that challenge. And if you're a friend of that podcast, I advise you not to tune in because I'm going to break hearts on Wednesday.
Horror Network. Going down.
I am going to just fuck shit up.
Okay, as Jenn of the Nerding Out with Jenn and Kori podcast, I'm actually on Jimmy's side. I'm so scared.
It's a smart decision. So Wednesday, it'll...
Bitches ain't loyal. Bitches ain't loyal at all when you know it's like you're gonna lose.
You have to understand.
You don't know my lack of my knowledge. You don't know my life. You don't know my life or my knowledge.
You don't know my overabundance of knowledge. I'm an only child who's been going to Disneyland yearly since I was 1 year old.
I have a fear. I'm saying Kori.
My aunt's best friend in college was the guy who designed Big Thunder Mountain, Indiana Jones, and Disneyland Paris.
We own the Little Mermaid penis VHS tape.
No, I do. Yeah. Me.
So how's that?
I do.
I mean,
What you got for that?
when you say it that confidently,
What do
the
you say
first
to
thing I want to do is cry for you. But
What did I said I was gonna like force it upon you.
Yeah, force it up in his face. I believe were the words.
so tune in
Yeah.
tune in to next week's episode of Jenn and Kori when I take that title from
It'll be
them.
thebomb.com.
It'll be the bomb.
Fuck you for being sober. Fuck Andrew for being
Touche.
sober. Andrew. Way to go.
Andrew
sober.
standing O.
Andrew, like the
You want to drop the mic right now? Go ahead and drop the mic.
drop it.
Golf clap.
Drop that for us.
Wow.
Dare
The
you.
closest thing to what Mike I do.
That's a very light mic.
So funny.
It is our.
Love it.
It's time, Charlie, for Charlie's favorite time of the night. Predict what trailers will go in front of the movie.
Oh, that's right. Well, Pet Cemetery for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That looks super good.
Just a Marvel movie.
Just because Kane hated it Halloween 2018, they'll just throw that out of spite. It's a rehash.
That could be.
I'm gonna say Pet Cemetery,
We're gonna say anything Medea.
Hellboy.
Hellboy.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I just got really excited.
John Wick 3.
John Wick 3, yeah.
Probably not with that.
Did you guys see the
Anything Medea.
trailer? I thought it looks badass. That's just me.
Avengers Endgame.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't think it will be attached to us.
And the wild card will be Shazam will be up in there.
Oh, yeah. I bet
I'm not
Shazam.
excited about that. I'm going to formally say it.
Well, it has the letters DC in the front of the preview, so you shouldn't be too excited.
I'm probably right.
What are your final predictions for a score, Charlie? It's batting a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I am thinking that this is going to be a 9 out of 10.
So at least a 90%.
Right.
At least a 90%.
I'm shooting for 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Your expectations are way too high, Kane.
I know. I expect a lot after Get Out.
Jen, Kori, what are you?
9. Pursing the back of your eyelids.
Kori,
I'm going with like an 8, 9. I feel like it's wow. Bitches ain't loyal.
Mark,
I'm going 7.5.
Rick.
If you really.
What are you expecting it? How good, bad do you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be badass.
Ashy.
So what out of 10?
9.
Lexi?
I care.
Damn.
I agree.
At work, we have a...
Just call you Ashy. Call me Ashy.
Ashley Larry?
This called you ashy? Like ashy? Like you need lotion?
Yeah. She straight up called me
Ashy
Ashy.
Larry?
Just end the podcast real quick so I can lotion him up.
I've never been so insulted in my entire
We'll
life.
be back after King gets...
She's like, you're
After King gets...
Lotion on this.
What can you tell audiences about the ridiculous, insane journey that they go on when they sit in a seat for this movie?
How do you do that? Giving it away. I mean, we meet a family, the Wilsons, and the mother, Adelaide, is riddled with this trauma from her childhood that she cannot explain or shake off. And she's convinced as they're on their way to their summer home in Santa Cruz that something bad is going to happen. And she's proven right when at the end of the day, these 4 shadowy figures show up at the top of their driveway and their worst nightmare ensues.
Can you talk about what it's like to actually play against yourself?
It's weird. It's very weird. You never meet your scene partner, so it's imaginative gymnastics that you have to perform, and it's one thing to advocate for one character. It's another thing to have to see the world through the exact opposite lens and advocate as strongly and passionately for the other. And then, so it was mind twisting, and took a lot of very deliberate and kind of like mathematical preparation to delineate between the two.
What is Jordan like as a director?
Jordan, he's amazing. he is so intelligent, and yet his intelligence never comes across as egotistical. He's a man who is an improviser, and because of his background in that, he's very collaborative, and the best idea wins. And, he has a very strong idea, but he's always refining it, clarifying it, and he involves you in that process and really invites you to contribute whatever you can. And he's also a very adaptable director. He asked me very early on what my process was and what I needed from him, those are questions I don't hear very often. And he really tailor-made his directing to each of us. He would kind of adjust according to what we needed, how he talked to us, what he mentioned, and when he mentioned it. And I saw him do that with me. I saw him do it with Winston. I saw him do it with the kids, with Elizabeth and Tim, all of us. And so because of that, I think he's quite exceptional.
When you first read the script, do you remember what your reaction was?
I was really afraid. I distinctly remember my shoulders being up like so, and like me reading the script like this. I've never read a horror film, and it was the first one that I'd read, and I was terrified just reading it, and I immediately invested in the family, and I could tell that what I understood was just the surface, and that there was so much more. It was evident even in the script, and it took like speaking to Jordan and getting to really understand where he was coming from and what themes he was trying to explore to really, understand it in its entirety.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the characters you play and how you want audiences to sort of embrace them?
Well, I play Adelaide, who is the mom. She's an all-American mom, kind of a trophy wife even. And she is, she's the primary one that we experience this story through. And because of that foreboding sense that something is coming for her, she's on her toes. And Red, who is her doppelganger, her shadow,
what can audiences expect when they sit down for this incredible...
I think at the core of this film is really a family story of moving forward. A family trying to essentially get things back on track. They were originally trying to have a summer vacation, and then they are confronted with this horrific image of what appears to be themselves. And they're just trying to survive the encounter. Outside of that, there's a lot of commentary on social issues and social themes, but at the core of it, it's really, you can get attached to this family and their dynamic.
Can you talk a little bit about your character?
Gabe Wilson is the all-American dad, but he is definitely fashioned around some of the dads that I had access to a lot, which was sitcom dads. So these TV dads that weren't afraid to be anything on any given day. You know what I mean? So, on Fresh Prince, Uncle Phil was able to be stern. He was able to be funny, goofy. He was really attracted and, sexually active with his wife, and you could, tell that, and, the dad on Family Matters, all these dads, that I had access to. I fashioned Gabe off of them. I wanted people to feel like Gabe could be welcomed into their living room once a week.
I love that.
Yeah.
What was it like playing opposite yourself?
It was really cool, actually. We took it as a great opportunity instead of just a challenge. It was really an opportunity to almost act in two movies. So I got to see the movie through the lens of Gabe Wilson and the Wilson family. And then I got to see the movie through the lens of the Red family, which was just, you get, as much work as you can do and dig in and show flexibility and range and spectrum when you act is always just the best.
What is Jordan like as a director?
Oh, man, Jordan is just so welcoming and warm, and he's a sharer, you know what I mean? If I were to create some sort of analogy, is when you were a kid and you shared your toys,
he would have been a kid that shares his toys. You know, his toys are the movies, his thoughts, his ideas, his emotions, his care. You know, he shares all those things with you, and he really brings you into his world, which is rich. And he does his best to create a space where you can do your best work.
Do you remember your reaction the very first time you read the script?
Oh, man. First time I read the script, I sat for about 40 minutes just thinking about what I just got and being blown away with all the things that its tentacles were reaching out and touching, right? Because I feel like the film has these tentacles that are touching this thing in society, that theme, that construct, this construct, you know what I mean? Like this ism, that ism, you know? And I wanted to be a part of the conversation. I said, this is the kind of conversation that I need to be a part of as an artist at this time, you know? For the time that Winston is a part of this media, you know, and this age.
Moments away now, Kane, from us, and what a night it's been from us, from title challenge acceptances to interviews with the cast and director of us here tonight on this episode of The Screening Room. What an evening. It could not be matched. Nothing could be parallel to my weatherman expertise in changing the location from Cool Hand Luke's to El Roselle. Probably the MVP play of the day goes to me for that. So thank you, El Roselle, for hosting tonight. Any last thoughts, Kane, before we sit down and you fall asleep? Charlie, so at what point do you think that...
And if you see a down
at what point do you think that Andrew will fall asleep, Charlie?
Line touching a tree,
I am always
irrigation district.
I'm not very optimistic, Jim.
Just call 811 first.
It's a good choice.
Andrew had a late night. I'd say by the end of the credits, opening credits, Andrew will be asleep.
This safety message brought to you by Modesto Irrigation.
You better sit up, dog.
Find out more at mid.org.
Do it. Let's go. It's the party I'm a planning it. All the girls see it.
Oh.
Am I driving home?
No.
We'll find out. So we'll be back after the movie. Well, Charlie, we just got done with this one. Interesting concept.
Yeah, and a very interesting idea. I don't know if the execution was quite as good as I thought it would be, because I'm the kind of person that questions why things happen.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to reconcile all these people that were obviously clones.
Right.
That were just running amok in the tunnels that were underneath Santa Cruz.
Yeah. Or...
So it just seems like if that was truly like some kind of experiment, and everybody was matched one-on-one, did they use them to replace? I got the impression that if somebody was in power or did something that the powers that be didn't like, they could replace you with your clone. But I'm not sure.
But from what I got is that it wasn't just under Santa Cruz, it was under the entire nation.
Okay, I buy that, yeah.
And whenever they decided to abandon this project, the little girl became like the unspoken leader because she was actually human.
Right.
And so the whole time you think that they're the fucked up ones, but spoiler alert, they're the fucked up ones being led by one normal one.
Right.
And the normal ones have had the fucked up one, which is why Lupita Nyong'o's character wants to kill them so badly, is she's aware of what is about to happen.
Right.
And also kind of explains her first reaction to them in the way too, right? Where you're kind of like, why we should be so freaked out about this. Like, oh, she knows. Coming after her ass.
That's literally what I just said, but thanks, Ken.
Music was loud.
Music still is loud. I do love the breakdown in the classic version of...
The sound design for this movie is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
What's that?
The sound design for this movie was great.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, that's probably the highlight.
Yeah.
Highlight.
See if it's like
What a great commercial for Santa Cruz too.
Oh, right.
Before we go out there and think and find out what everybody else thought, what do you give it? I give it a solid 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna revise mine. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Wow, Charlie was 6.
I'm gonna go mine like 7.
Kane, even though he slept through like a third of it. Do you just snore to see if anyone's going to say something, man? Because you were snoring.
I do it for you, yeah.
Jen, what did you think of it?
I liked it. 8.
Okay, so after thinking about it for a minute, the one problem that I have in this thing is how are the quote-unquote shadows tethered to the hosts? How are they programmed to mimic what the other person is doing in reality? That's the one major problem that I have with this film. Again, spoilers. And for that...
Forget how to talk.
For that reason...
Yeah, she was old enough.
Yeah, but maybe old enough to move around.
Well, she's probably doing the mimic talk as a survival instinct.
Well, no, but but she still knew she had a family.
No, but it's like they kept saying that she'll eventually talk, right?
Yeah.
Right. So did she talk before? I don't remember her saying words on the boardwalk.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, she said she wants the T-shirt and all that.
Yeah, she talked normal. Yeah, you're right. She did.
I think she just
didn't
regressed.
act like she had a family before and tried to run away. Yeah. All she had to do was go upstairs.
Oh shit! Where'd you get those?
That was
It's a present! Aren't we the coolest?
Oh wow!
Oh, cool.
That's amazing.
That is cool.
I'm not. It's terrifying.
That is a cool idea.
No, that's super cool. Thank you. They presented us with the scissors that the tethered murdered people with.
Yeah, make the national news, Jim. Stab all of us with the scissors at the movie.
I'd probably run into it at this point.
No, that's super awesome. I'm gonna stab Kane with them.
Yeah.
Stab Kane.
I don't want to.
That would establish your brand.
But if you take and just complete Andrew's birthday weekend.
Yes, there you go. Andrew, give one up for the team,
Oh yeah,
buddy.
yeah.
He's
My first stabbing. Yes.
He's all blood, brother.
Yes. Oh my God.
But I was 100% on board until I just thought about that what is connecting the host to the tethered people?
All they did was take an escalator.
How do they know
down,
that?
and they're all a feral world down there.
Yeah, that was a little
And
weird.
they didn't decide to come up until that day.
Yeah.
Apparently, they didn't have anyone smart enough to eat them.
You know what it was? It was really good filmmaking from a perspective of music and staging and everything, and kind of sloppy storytelling.
Yeah, the storytelling has got.
I like this way better than Get Out.
Really?
Really?
No,
Yeah.
Get Out. I
Get Out had a
thought
better story.
was a lot good. Yeah, it was a lot better story.
This was a way better horror movie.
Well, yeah, and there
I
were.
love that he's maniacally
Get Out had horror
I know he's
with
all loose for this little
Right.
in there. ASMR.
Right, but the story, even though there were some parts of
You
that,
felt how scared he was.
I give this
Being in
movie
a
which is an 8.5.
Dude, the way that everyone acted as both characters was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
everyone did really well, being their fucking
Like how fun to be
That
like
was
you have to
really
be like
creepy.
normal
Before
and
you knew
legit,
what
and
was
then you can
going
be
on,
like
it was really
fun.
genuinely creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy.
And then there was some humor in there that I thought, it's okay, but it didn't really belong.
You know,
when they
it's
were
like, why is
starting-
Dad joking right now?
Yeah, why are they joking? And did you seriously mention Home Alone? You know, I'm thinking that's the last thing.
I thought it was
That was
cute, but it was
Jordan
very
Peele.
like off reference.
Yeah, it was
But it
not.
was pure like his humor.
I think as pure like 40-something dad who's never had a conflict like this in his life. Like that guy, that actor did a really good job of being in a situation that has had no trauma in your life, and you have the perfect kid and an ADHD son and a wife who is pretty independent on her own type of a figure. And he played a nice job in being in that situation and not knowing what the hell he's going to do, but he's trying to like buck up with the baseball bat and freak out.
But he totally played down masculinity was compared to his wife. Right.
Yeah.
You know? The wife owned the pants.
Right.
And
then you know why, because she's the freaking doppelganger. She's not a real person.
But like I said, once again, the original kid could have came up any time she wanted, apparently. You know? I don't know whoever unlocked her, but she had to get out of that. And then...
Well, they did say during the movie that they realized that she was the one that would be the key to their
salvation.
Coming up. So they must have, in some way,
the movement that she had when she was following or dancing or something was like they recognized.
Explain to me what the rabbits.
Yeah, I
played.
don't know that. Unless
They just had to eat the rabbits.
Well, it was part of the genetic testing. Like,
yeah,
to
that's
get
what I
the,
thought
like,
too. The
to
genetic
get
testing.
to get the people
Because
like.
didn't they start
I understand
testing
that,
with
but
rabbits?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, how
where's
come the
these
daughter was
scientists
such a
that
boss
apparently
all of a
did all
sudden?
this?
Like,
Right?
she's never done anything like that in her life, and then all of a sudden she can murder
Whoever's
someone.
breeding the rabbits or breeding them, where are they at?
She wrestled.
That's
Well, and was
She's
there a person for every single person? Or was it
That was my thing. Was that everybody at the boardwalk that day?
Yeah.
Like,
So
there was a person for every.
Where the
single
hell is everybody? Yeah,
It's all underground.
How does that?
With like a
That's
plot
what I
that
can't.
wasn't
This
super. I think we're reading into the plot.
You know, the science
Where's the
fiction
army?
part of it.
Yeah.
Just
I
doesn't
mean,
work.
they would have came into Santa Cruz, right? It was on the news. Wouldn't the army and everybody would have came into Santa
About
Cruz?
it means it was good.
But it wasn't even just Santa Cruz. Like there's a whole lot more
it
than
ended up
that.
being everywhere else. But
Yeah, I understand that.
I love that they filmed that there.
So I think it was
just a lot of holes.
had a lot of great horror elements. Like I said before, I think it was just sloppy storytelling.
So final scores, Charlie.
Well, you know, I'm going to give it between. Actually, I'm torn because there were some horrific elements that I really enjoyed and it did hold my interest. So I'm going to go like between a 6 and a 7. 6.5.
Jane?
I can't
was
get
like
over the
half and half
science
for me.
fiction.
Yeah, I'm a
It's
part
kind
of
of
it.
sucky, but it wasn't.
I'm with Charlie. I like the horror aspects of it, but like the background they try to
They
give to me.
didn't explain a whole lot.
I didn't need to know that. They should have just left it out. Like I really honestly didn't need to know about her being a doppelganger or like any of that stuff. Like,
But even if they would have explained it, it still did not make any sense at all.
Exactly,
to
that's what I
have
said.
this
So it's almost kind of like it
secret
doesn't
world
tie together like
underneath
really at all.
that is so easily accessible that you can just take an
Accessible
escalator.
Yeah.
Maya, what do you get?
5. It was
Hey,
creepy,
I liked
but
it.
Jen said 8. Corey.
I'm like 5,
Sloppy.
6 too. I'm
Yeah, you liked Happy Death Day?
I enjoyed Happy Death Day. I don't know what
thought
to tell
Happy
you.
Death Day
it was enjoyable. It wasn't
This was
scary.
better than Happy Death Day 2. This was better than
sure.
Happy Death Day
Not to
2.
me.
I'm glad the wise people.
It was a better horror.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
There are
yeah.
definitely, I feel like,
I like Happy
two
Death Day
different
because it wasn't scary at all.
No,
they're just being silly.
no.
That's how
Yeah.
I
It wasn't really a horror.
Less
Yeah.
plot holes in that in the world.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is hard to say because that movie you could have fucking
Right.
Just be on the lookout for us on the Jen and the Nerding Out with Jen and Kori podcast
Your doppelganger.
next week.
That's my doppelganger. Oh my god.
And thank you for listening. We'll be back with another screening room episode next week.
For having us.